Hey everyone, I am Claudia Sharias, and these are the answers to my application questions, humbly and sincerely submitting for your approval. I was going to write it down, but I thought maybe it wouldn't be as sincere or as genuine as I wanted it to be. So, without further ado, first question is, what barriers have you experienced and or transcended as a transgender individual? Well, I too, like so many of my brothers and sisters, have faced discrimination based solely off of my gender. And it's still shocking. And it's still hurtful. Sometimes it can come from someone you've known for years. And maybe they just found out and all of a sudden they act completely different. And you don't know why. And it changes everything. It's very hurtful, actually. I've also experienced discrimination in the workplace. In 2007, I joined a modeling competition. It was during a time when we were fighting for hate crimes and how to classify a hate crime. A very profound impact on my life came from a young transgender woman by the name of Gwen Araujo. The loss of her life and her death, and this idea or this notion that one could commit murder and be justified by what they were calling tranny panic, which in itself is a disgusting and derogatory word for me. I had always felt that God made me special in the sense that I've been able to transcend that discrimination, and whether it's the businessman in a three-piece suit coming from wealth or privilege, or the thugs hanging out on the corner, I've always been accepted, and even from people that shouldn't necessarily accept me from their religious views or their background or history. I tried to use that and bring that forth to the public, and was accepted into this modeling contest and later disqualified for being trans, even though I entered the contest specifically and openly out. That really discouraged me, and it broke my heart a little bit. I still have a tough time wrestling with the idea that my gender can inspire such a hatred from people who've never even had a second to sit down and talk to me. This is the age and the world that we live in. I accept that. I also accept that I'm here to change that. So that was my answer. Let's see. The second question is, how do you see society changing in regards to the transgender community? Well, I clearly see the progress and the change every day. You know, I come from a generation and an age where the goal for a trans woman was to be what they called stealth or under the radar, living a life almost in secrecy. And I'm very proud of the progress that we've made in just the last 8 years. And I'm really excited for what tomorrow brings for our future generation. And I'm very happy to consider myself a soldier on the front line on the war of discrimination. I really am proud of that. And it's to the brave and courageous souls like myself and so many others, to the compassionate and empathetic advocates like yourself and your establishment that helps give a platform for us to raise awareness and to hopefully change the minds of those that are either uneducated or scared. So yeah, I guess that's my answer. I see that change clearly every day. I walk into my modeling agency that's specifically for trans women, and I know that we're on the right path. I believe that the generation of today wants to learn from the mistakes of yesterday and not divide, but unite. I see the celebration of our individuality and our uniqueness every day. So, last question is, what advice would you give to someone who is coming out as transgender? Let's see. You know, I remember when I was young, the world was so small to me. I didn't think any of this would be possible, for sure. I mean, I was 12 years old when I transitioned. I had already tried to commit suicide at least a dozen times. I even ended up in the hospital after an overdose. That completely changed me. The need to not disappoint my family, I really feel is a pressure and a burden that a lot of the youth faces, and why suicide is so prevalent in the gay and trans community. When you're young like that, your family is all that you know, and they're your everything, and the thought of losing them would drive you to a madness and to a suicide as if the world would be better off without you. And if I was talking to a younger version of myself, I would say it gets better. And to keep shining and stay the course. The weight of the burden of being different, I know, is really heavy. But we are the chosen. We are the courageous and the brave. And we're built to be strong and persevere. We're built with the resiliency. And we must survive. I hope to pass the torch to the generation of tomorrow so that they can continue the fight for equality and understand they are stronger than they know. It's not easy to be trans. It's not easy to turn your back on all that you know, like your family or your education or your work. It's not, those are things that we all need. We need to be loved. We need to grow in society. And we must stay the course of advocacy to bring in change. We must never give up on that, because the moment we do, we're submitting and we're surrendering to defeat. I've never done that, and I don't think I ever will. I believe that I'm here to serve a purpose. I believe that there's something within me that is much deeper than flesh and bone, or hair, or skin, or eyes. And that there is something within me, in my soul, and in my spirit, that is meant to serve a higher power. I ask God to use me every day so that I can reach that destiny. And it's been very hard. And I'm sure it will be hard, probably for the rest of my life. You know, I in my wisdom, I understand you can't fix stupid. It's been a tough thing for me to come to grips with, but it doesn't mean I'm ever going to stop trying. And I would tell anyone who's going through a transition, don't ever give up. Because when you do, that's when you give up on yourself. So, in conclusion, those are my answers. I hope I answered them. Well, I know I answered with the utmost sincerity, ingenuity, and I hope that it gets relayed through this video. As nervous as I am, and as much as I've overthink this, I think, I hope I'm able to transcend that. Thank you. I'm Claudia Chariots, and hopeful to be your next Miss Queen USA. Thank you.